Yo, welcome to Free Game. Thank you guys for pulling up. Very special edition today, as it is all about you guys. No subject matter experts outside of our regular homies. And we're gonna get straight to the questions. As a part of our panel, we got Haseen Pell was in here. We got my man Ari in here. And of course, we got the man James Whitner himself in here.
What up?
What up, everyone?
So I'm gonna get y'all to use, if we can get everybody to use the raise hands feature, we're just gonna go straight down the line and let the questions roll in. Jay, you want to say anything before we get the ball rolling?
No, thank you for everybody for investing your time. You know, if we all lucky, we get 100 years if we lucky. So I appreciate the time.
For sure. All right, you got anything before we kick off, man?
No, man, excited about tonight. Favorite part of this thing is the interaction with all you guys and seeing how next gen is moving. So happy to be here. Appreciate the invite. Excited.
For sure.
Let's get it.
Let's go. We got 52 people in here. So let's roll. Like I said, if you could use raise hands, that would make things a lot easier. Just so we got like a little bit of a flow. So whoever wants to kick it off, man, don't be shy. That's why we're here. We're here to kick with the people. Specifically
Let me get my gallery up, man. I gotta get my gallery view up.
Or if you're a little shyer than that, you drop your question in the chat. We can unmute you from there.
And if they shy, I guess we could start. We could start. Oh, my man, I could always count on my man Dave. He come through. my man Dave be ready for it, yo, Dave. Whatever you got, man. I swear, I might have to invest in it, man. You put the time in, bro. What's up, Dave?
Bro, me and Dave were literally just talking about that.
When I was racing on the way home, I was definitely on the phone with him.
Oh, that's why 100%. I might have to take you up on that because my question was also going to be about equity too. So basically, what's been happening is, you already know James and David, but basically what's happening, like for everybody else. I'm a part of an app that was basically selected by Apple to be a part of this program called the Entrepreneurship Cohort. Basically, 13 applications from around the world were picked. They're all Black founders. And essentially what's been happening is they've been mentoring us, kind of helping all of us reach the next level. And part of that next level is coming up with things like, board of advisors and all that kind of stuff. And with that comes giving away some equity to some people. And so I wanted to know kind of in you guys' opinions in terms of giving away that equity, not necessarily how do you do that, but how do you make sure, once you're doing that, I know for me personally, like I've been working on this thing for, at this point, 2 years, this is my baby. I'm not trying to just give away a piece of that to just anyone. And then along with that, once you do that, they are now a stakeholder. They have opinions and their opinions matter.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know maybe, just some of your opinions in terms of how you build those relationships, how you navigate relationships with different stakeholders, and how you find balance and make sure that your vision still kind of, maintains and continues to thrive as you move ahead.
Man, well, I could use you as an example, right? As long as I can remember, if I've been on an event, you've been on the event, right? And not a part of it, right? But so in that way, you become a stakeholder, and if nothing else, I start to see. And not just me, I think all of us start to see that you're invested in our platform and in getting information to help yourself get better. And I think for me, it's the same, right? I think it starts with, for me, it starts with my family, my friends, and my team. And I think as you start to go through your journey in life, I'm trying to find new ways to say get old, but as you start to go through your journey in life, you just start to see that there's people that are consistent, right? Our team, it changes and grows, but as people in our team, that the obligation is that they're consistent. And for my friends and my peers, the obligation is always the same. We hold each other to a standard, and there got to be accountability amongst us, right? So that it starts to get easy to figure out who are the people who you should allow to have equity in the things that you're building. And that's why when you start seeing any business raise money, the first round of money is usually family and friends, right? Because it's twofold. Family and friends believe in you if it's an idea that that needs some push. And on the other side, if you got something big, you about to IPO, you want family and friends to eat, right?
Mhm.
So I think it just goes back to surrounding yourself with positive vibes and good energy is something that I get super intentional on with myself, right? Making sure I'm catching vibes and catching energy. So all those things go together.
All right, 100%.
Hey, can I jump in real quick? This is
Go ahead, brother
Pell.
Pat.
So, I'm actually part of an app with my fiance. She's the brains behind it. I just make all the pretty shit. But we went through a couple of incubators through NYU, and they put us in front of like some amazing people, like people from Foursquare, Waze. I mean, I just, like very intimate conversations with them. So to jump off of springboard off of where James left off about friends and family, right? Those are the people that believe in you. But of course, then the next thing that you probably heard is the people that invest in you are friends, family, and fools. Everybody else is a fool because they're buying into your energy. They're buying into how you look on paper. They don't know you, right? They're hoping that you do IPO. They're hoping that you do sell because that's where they're going to make their money. What was told to us as far as actually giving equity, it's to hold onto that shit like it is your life's blood, to give it out fractionally. Do not give it out in whole amounts if you don't have to. Looking at what this person is really bringing to the table, because they could be bringing money, which is fantastic, but money comes and goes and you're going to constantly need more. And as you know, with what you started at, your MVP is probably totally different from where your MVP is now, right? And you need sweat equity. You need somebody who's going to be burning and turning with you the same way you said that this is your baby, that amount of equity, as fractional as it is, they care about your product, and also it helps towards your evaluation. So you can say, I gave this amount and now it's on paper, right? What the fuck is an evaluation? But this is what we're worth, theoretically. So that's my 2 cents. And get people who are doing things, that you don't know about. Like, we need a technology person, and so that's somebody that we would give equity to. But I
Well,
wouldn't
first of
give
all,
equity to another person doing graphic design or something like that.
yeah,
Right.
if you need a tech person, let me know, because I know a whole bunch of Black tech people who are always looking for more work. But then also on that, how much of your equity was one of my guys who just secured like 2.5 mil for a Series A. One thing that he did was when he went around before actually funding, he would actually give half a percentage of equity to people who were willing to give their time versus actual money, right? So he was actually able to get Charlemagne the God and Big Boy to join basically their board of advisors. And all that they needed to do, all that Charlemagne and Big Boy had to do is give 1 hour every single quarter. Did you ever do anything like that? And if so, like, how'd you navigate that?
No,
Approach?
we actually didn't, because I don't know what their app may be, but this is more towards the medical field. She hasn't really given out any equity at all. But the board of advisors, they just believe in the shit that she's doing. So that's one. You're gonna have people, if they really want to see you win, these people are going to rally behind you because, one, you're young, you're Black, it's all of these great things, and they believe in what you're doing. Whoever you give equity to, these got to be people that you're willing to be married to the hip with.
100%.
So I can see, giving Charlemagne the God something, because he also has a voice outside of him sitting with you, right? But we're talking to people from Apple, and we're talking to other people in the medical field. But right now, it's still very early. But we've dumped money into this, in her PR and getting her voice out, so that when it comes time for equity, it's more than just an idea. It's more than just a wireframe. It's like, this thing has social equity as well. So
Yeah, and not to disrupt, because I think all the points, all Pell's points are spot on. But I'm a Dave, if you have something, shoot, you know how to get out as two. I'm gonna be mindful of the time, because we get a lot of hits, but Pell, but good response, right? Because I'm always on the home team. To round out what you said, I think it's very important that you look at strategic partners and people who are strong where you're weak, right? Or can add value in ways that you can.
100%. All right, thanks.
Hey, stay at it. And matter of fact, I need to hit you on some SEO stuff myself. It's a broad topic, but funny enough, I still got some questions around it. So I'll remember next week.
Hey, wait, James, do you have his info?
Yeah.
Okay,
Dave, I'll make sure that Pell, go into the chat and hit each other.
Well,
Man, I'm
y'all tech dudes.
All right, I hit you.
Brother Dave, what else we got?
Yeah, we're gonna go with Derek next.
Derek, what up?
How you doing? Can you hear me?
I ain't making no noise. What's up with you?
How you doing? So I just want to know, along your journey, was there ever like the best mistake you would consider that helped you guys realize in the end run it was an important lesson?
You hold on. You broke up a little bit in the beginning. You said, was there ever
like the best mistake you felt like you made that in the long run it felt like it was a lesson that helped you continue on your journey?
Oh God, we do it. Ari's laughing. Go ahead, Ari.
First of all, you're never gonna stop making mistakes, right? James been doing this 15 years. He still makes mistakes. I've been doing this 15 years. I still make mistakes. I still call long when it's short. It's gonna happen. But yeah, the whole point of being an entrepreneur and making mistakes is to get better and sharper and learn from them, right? The whole point of your peer group is to like hope that they've made some mistakes that you can avoid making. In terms of like the best or worst mistake I've ever made, in the moment they all suck. In the moment when money's lost and bad things happen, they all hurt. But personally, I would say for my partners and myself, 5 years ago or 8 years ago, we had a tremendous opportunity, but we didn't have enough dough to do it ourselves. So we had to bring in a partner to help us. And that partner provided only money, but we kind of did everything else. And that lesson taught us to never need someone else again. And like, as a result of that moment in time, we changed our entire company to make it so that would never happen again. So I would say like that instance.
And when they say don't need nobody else, that's capital. They just mean in
financially.
Yeah, there you go.
Like for guts, we weren't fully operational. We couldn't do everything ourselves, from money to production to whatever it is. And I think having an opportunity and having to give up money and give up a piece of that solely because we didn't have our whole organization built out, that mistake or lesson or time sparked the most amount of change and the most positive outcome for us.
Thank you. And I just have another
follow-up. You're going to make mistakes throughout, and the object is to learn from them.
Go. What you got for a follow-up, bro?
You guys have any mantras that you repeat to yourself to like stay motivated? Just like a personal question.
Oh yeah, man. Self-talk every day. It's less about a mantra. It's more about that reality, that mirror. That mirror's the most important tool in everybody's life is the mirror. And how realistic you willing to be when you in it, right?
You got to be your biggest cheerleader, man.
You got to be your biggest cheerleader. You got to be your biggest critic. You got to, if you can't hold yourself accountable and have a real conversation with yourself, then I'm not going to say you already lost, but you're in a tough situation. The people who can make decisions in their head, and because you're the most important voice for you. And as we all get older, high school years, you had your homies that you was with, and if you had a good crowd, y'all done good things. College, you were still, running around. But when you get in the real world, man, it's you. And that voice. So I think that is the mantra. So, like I think everybody who I see this really good, they're able to beat to their own drum. They're able to for me, I had to get my second COVID shot. And somebody was like, yo, did you get sick or anything? I said, I don't know how to get sick. I just generally don't. If I'm tired, then I need to get the fuck up and move. If I'm sick, I need to take some vitamin C, drink some orange juice and shake it off. If I ain't dead, I'm moving, right? So does that make sense? Either I'm muted or he.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he went, but we'll take silence as in the cosigner.
100.
All right, we're going over with Ryan Martinez next.
Ryan, what up, bro?
What up? So I'm still at work, but I wanted to jump on this. So just a real quick question and just a little bit about myself. I'm an Android developer looking to get into either becoming an entrepreneur or just trying to see if I can help someone start up a company. So I heard someone say that they had gone through some incubation. So I was wondering, when I actually have an idea, what would be the next steps to go and, I guess shop around and show people that idea.
From a digital perspective?
Either or.
If you talking digital, David, unmute yourself. Because David actually got chosen from Apple to do some things. So this is one of the ones where David, jump in.
100%. So there's a couple of things, right? Obviously, there are a number of routes when it comes to tech entrepreneurship, especially application entrepreneurship. One thing that Pell talked about were incubators and accelerators. That's a really common way for people who are relatively new, who are in the entrepreneurship game, especially with apps, to get involved. Essentially, what happens is you apply. Usually with the team, if you're the tech side, you'd want to find some other people specifically on the business side to really build out what your idea is, what you're working on, why you specifically, not just why is this a good idea, but why are you the one to solve this problem? And then also what your business model is. And you apply those things. You can get in, you might not. That being said, most of the times with this tech stuff, it's about finding other people who understand what you're doing and either want to help from an actually like getting on board perspective or help in other ways. That being said, it's definitely a journey. As James said, I was picked by Apple, and that was for an app that has been out for a year that I've been working on for 2.5 years. And so then, before that, I had a whole hell of a lot of no's, and you should definitely buckle up for that because you're going to get 1,000 no's before you get one yes, and the one yes is going to be conditional. But in terms of what you're doing, the first thing you want to do is find a team for an idea that you're really working on, and start building on that. Start building an MVP, start reaching out with people. And, I'm not sure if you have a LinkedIn. You can actually connect with me on LinkedIn, and I can kind of give you some connections in terms of who to talk to, who are just getting started out. But it's definitely a journey. There's a lot of ways to go with that. But the first thing is definitely just connecting around, what you want to work on.
Yeah, oh, my bad. You can go for it.
No, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, that's right now I'm still kind of shopping around for ideas because like I do want to do this, but I actually need to be 100% on what I want to do first. And as far as LinkedIn goes, I can send you my information.
100%.
Yeah, hit each other in the chat. And I would just add on to your point. First, understand what your goals are. Do your best to try to inform a strategy. Do your best to understand what it looks like to execute that strategy. Then I would say find some people who have done what you're looking to do. Try to get as much information as you can from them, and then find a cliff. Make sure you got everything you got in your pockets, and then jump off and see what happens. There's two ways to build it. If Dre was on here, he would tell you that you get everything built, and you get all the resources and you go. But I done jumped off a lot of cliffs with a bag of tools, and knowing that as long as I land softly, I'm good, right? So there's a bunch of different kinds of entrepreneurial thinking. You just got to figure out what kind of entrepreneur you are, and what kind of risk you're able to take, and what kind of losses in time and money that you can take in and invest in. as you proceed to do whatever you're thinking. I hope that answered your question though.
Hey, I like to give two resources.
Go for it.
One, look for the abbreviated cliff notes of the lean startup if you're not familiar with that. It'll help you with understanding who your actual consumer is, the market, what have you, and look into the business model canvas. That will help you to really understand how your business is going to work, from distribution to getting in money. Like if you really fill out the business model canvas, you will understand your business. And also look into Y Combinator and Techstars. Look at the people who actually got in, try to understand what they had to give up. But those resources are great starting points.
Yeah, and if you have any questions about what he was just saying, YC at Techstars, I actually just did my YC interview, and then I actually am pretty close with the head of Techstars Chicago now. We have a Techstars interview coming up next week. So if you have any questions about that, like, I'm more than happy to answer, because like that experience has been crazy in terms of like, especially with this stuff, it's like really that you don't know what you don't know. And like the biggest problem for people who look like us has been nobody's able to tell us what we don't know. And so then we go into these interviews, we kind of look like jackasses. So like any help you need with that, like 100% just let me know.
So what I'll say is, fellas, hit each other in the chat to make sure that information is going, so we can make sure we get through as many people as many questions as we can. And Dave, I appreciate you you jumping in today, bro. I appreciate your voice and all the information you sharing. Dave, what you got for us, bro?
Kwasi Crawford, you up next, my brother.
What's good with you, Kwasi?
I'm hanging in there, James, hanging in there, man. It's good to get on this Zoom call with you guys. I'm a new transplant to Atlanta, coming from Orlando. I work in the commercial real estate field. So I was in your Zoom call last week where you guys were talking about buying the block and a lot of things that go on in the industry. And I was definitely able to relate on that, being, on the broker side and being in those offices and those networking events and seeing, the type of people that are in there and the people that own the land and own these properties are, the older white demographic. And sometimes they don't want to give people a chance in certain areas. I was able to meet a few guys last week. They spoke very highly of you. I think his name was Ephraim. Definitely spoke really highly about you and everything you got going on. I love what you guys are doing in the industry. Before real estate, I worked with Nike for about 9 years in management. But my question for you was, being in Atlanta, being a new broker, I definitely want to be a part of the commercial real estate space with these retail organizations like yourself. And again, with Ephraim and the guys that I'm working with, we're looking at doing some pop-ups potentially in the area to, spark that traffic and show that these things can definitely change, certain areas of the city, whether it be Midtown or Buckhead. My question for you is, how can I, as a commercial real estate agent, navigate my way into those business relationships with people who are looking to open up, more retail boutique style shops like yourself? Or, for instance, there was a broker who assisted Pharrell in purchasing that hotel. Who was he, and how did he navigate himself into that relationship?
Well, the catch is, I think there's you got to be a visionary. The people who are successful that I've seen in commercial real estate are people who have a vision and can visualize something when it doesn't exist, right? And sometimes even if an entrepreneur has vision, he may or she may be focused on something completely different. And if somebody was to bring something to them that made sense, they would jump in, right? So like to our conversation earlier, I try to surround myself with people who are great at what they do, right? So if you are trying to build a reputation for yourself, commercial real estate agents who get it understand what's the next thing that can happen, and then they find entrepreneurs to make it happen. Does that make sense? Good example in Atlanta right now is East Side. Like everybody's seeing Soundtable and what Soundtable was. And if you went to the East Side at 1 a.m, the streets was packed, right? And that's at a time where there were no businesses there. So if you had a it link of what our culture looked like, you quickly start to realize like this could be something, right? And I bought a parking lot. I think I had a conversation with another person who was like, "You doing what?" Who had a conversation with another person like, "You doing what?" Who had a conversation with another person like, "You doing what?" And very quickly, everybody went over there and ate something up. And a year from now, everybody gonna be like, "Damn, how did that happen?" If that makes sense. And what it takes is one person has a vision who talks to other entrepreneurs who's already positioned to be able to move, and they go. So what I would say is the best advice I would give you is find a block, find two corners to connect and get a vision for them and try to visualize what entrepreneurs and what things work well for that area and then go.
Okay. Sounds good. Appreciate that.
All right, no doubt. And appreciate your time too, bro. And all the kind words and positive energy, and tell E I said what up.
I got you.
All right, no doubt. We got Brother Dave.
Ooh. Next up, we got Omar Joseph.
Omar, what up?
Should be asking to unmute right now.
Hi, how's it going? It's a little noisy in here because I have 3 boys. But my question was for whomever to answer. My best friend, who's also my partner in the sneaker series, we want to grow and understand that it's a communication-based world. The biggest question, overarching question I have is, what does it look like in a time period that we're in right now? You know, with the world being pre, post, still kind of COVID. What's the best way to navigate that communication that is needed in order to grow with just that sneaker series or whatever we're trying to do?
When you say sneaker series, you want to do a series like an app, a speaking series? Give me a little more context.
A speaking series, yes.
A speaking series.
Correct.
Well, I think all digital platforms are on fire right now, right? Everybody's searching for content. So it's about, I think I would just, the question I would ask is, I think anyone would ask is, what makes your series unique, uniquely different than some of the other stuff that's being offered right now? What's your value add to the marketplace? Does that make sense?
It does. Absolutely does.
And then, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and in thinking about it, as we were coming up with the idea, it's platform basically on YouTube at the moment. And while looking through other sneaker shows or aspects of sneaker conversation, I feel like the thing that separates ours and when we were putting it together was the fact that we actually have conversation about sneakers per se. It isn't just like drip, skip, a flip, or so on and so forth. It's more of conversation and remembrance of things. So the conversational piece separates us pretty much from other series.
All right,
so we're just trying to
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. We're just trying to figure out how to, explain that to other people or push that inkling even more.
I'm gonna say something to you different and let you hear it.
All right.
What does McDonald's, Burger King, Shake Shack, In-N-Out all have in common?
Burgers and fries.
What's the difference?
I
will argue not much.
Not much.
The space is crowded, right?
Yeah.
Sneaker space is very crowded. A lot of
especially
noise.
now.
Yes, a lot of noise. So I would step back and ask yourself, why do you love the sneaker space? What information you want the audience to get, and how could you serve it up in a way? How could you attack a space in the market that isn't so crowded?
Got you.
Because if you want impact, right? If you want impact in a space that's crowded, it takes a lot of resources to get impact, or it takes a big ass moment. Like you got to go do something crazy to get attention. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what that thing is. Can you bust through in a crowded industry? 100%, right? But like, yo, when this sneaker business thing started, we felt like there was a bunch of us, but hell, now that I see what it is now, there wasn't a bunch at all, right? So what I would say is take a step back, yo, and you're passionate about sneakers, so try not to think about it as sneakers. Look at hamburger spaces and look at other crowded markets and look at some of those case studies. They're out there. The
Okay.
Harvard Business Review is a thing. There's tons of case studies out there. And some of it is just penetrating crowded markets. And obviously digital is what digital is today. So you can, there's a path to success, but the one thing, if somebody asked me today, like, hey, I want to open up a brick and mortar only store that focuses on these things, I would say like, good luck, right? It's a chance that it can happen, but it's not 2005. We're approaching 2025. So you need 2035 thinking.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
All right, no doubt.
Cool. Next, we're gonna kick it to, and don't kill me if I butcher it, but Jahara.
Jahara, did he butcher it? I want to know if he butchered it. That's the most important question.
He didn't do bad. But
what is it? What is it?
It's so I'm Hispanic. My name is Jahida.
Jahida.
Like a D.
Come on, brother.
I got to get graded on a curve for that one.
That's what I said. You didn't do bad. You didn't do bad. And my philosophy is, as long as the check is spelled correctly, I don't care. So first, good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's blessed. I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to speak. My question is, I'm actually a photographer. My own photography business. And I was inspired by the recent launch of the threes. And by the way, my mother is now a sneakerhead because of them. She won her raffle.
Tell your mama we love her.
She actually was inspired by the video. Now she wanted to keep them. Before she didn't really care. But my question is, as a female, sometimes I find it's rough in terms of getting like certain projects. Luckily, I'm tapped in with some people in the area, Creative Theory and Run Girl and DC Running Collective. That's how I've gotten certain projects. But in terms of like when I've actually tried to reach out to companies for different branding opportunities or to like do their photos or different events, I kind of get like a push to the side is how I feel. It may not be the case. What would you suggest or what would you recommend I do moving forward to kind of get their attention? Or is it something I could be saying, something I could be doing better?
Well, no, I would say get your reps up. Make somebody, you can't get no when somebody feel like they need you. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Like for the best feedback you could ever get from somebody is why they're saying no to you.
Okay.
Because once you understand the why you're getting to no, you understand what you need to do to get better to get to yes, right? And if you've been on since the beginning, you heard me talk about that relationship with the mirror, right? You gotta look at the best work out there and understand all of the parts of business. Like when I got into this business, I had to quickly realize there was streetwear, there's fashion, there's contemporary, there's sneakers, there's all these categories of business, right? And they all show up different. And who's great at what and why, right? And what lens would, I'm about to pick on DDA, right? What lens does he see, what lens does he see luxury in? And then I'll pick on Ari, what lens does he see street wearing? And then if you flip them, why, right? And then go back to the mirror and ask yourself, where do you stand? And then go get your reps up. What I mean by get your reps up is find people to work for free. Just like the brother who we just gave the feedback on being a visionary for commercial real estate. If you see somebody that you think, oh yeah, I see a shoot with this person this way, the same way you would see a model or a business or go in and tell them like, no, I want to shoot this for free because there's a look that I want to get off, right? And by getting that off, you making everybody go, damn, I ain't see the world that way, right? You do that enough times, and then you're going to develop a look the same way Pharrell or Swiss developed the sound. You hear Swiss, and you know it's a sound, right? You hear X RIP, you hear the voice, you know what it is, right? You need that level of reputation and distinction, and it makes it much harder, especially when you're a double minority, a person of color and a woman, right? It makes it a lot easier for an already complicated situation. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
I hope that answered your question. And listen, I'm moving fast, everybody, because usually I would be able to go over, but I got to get home. I got to catch a flight tonight, so I can't run over tonight. So I'm trying to get through as many questions as we can. But we'll put another mentoring session on a calendar if we leave too many questions behind. So my apologies if anybody feels like I'm rushing them through. And thank you for your time too. And if Jahara, just keep. And the other thing is, stay positive.
For sure.
When you're looking at mirror, stay positive. Look for solutions.
Yeah, I want to add a little something on too. Photography is my background. I actually started with the company on the e-commerce side as a product photographer, and I think when you look at the photography space in general, like things kind of feel like things can be all over the place. So to James's point, or to kind of further drill down, definitely find the niche that you want to be in, because you mentioned about, wanting to work with brands and wanting to do this, and then also doing events. Like each of those is a category that somebody is super stellar at. So you can do all of the things until you figure out what you're most passionate about. But when it comes down to it, especially if someone was like, I have an agency outside of work as well. So like when we're looking to hire folks, it's like, does the work in your portfolio match what we're hiring for that gig? So if you're shooting events, but you send me a fashion portfolio, you're not going to get picked up for the event gig, right? So it's about being able to tailor your work to each of those niches that you want to get work in, and being very specific about that when you're presenting your work.
Dave, how many emails does the Whitaker group get a week from creatives that want to do things with you guys, that are photographers or models or artists? How many a week?
I mean, hey, look, how many hiring posts do we have up?
Regardless if you have posts up or not, how many DMs a week between all your channels is someone say, this is me?
A handful. Yep.
So it's also, you got to consider the person on the other side of the screen and the velocity of things they're seeing. And sometimes it's as easy as like doing something funny or different in the messaging in the email to make them open it up and look at you. Like sometimes people get so much stuff, depending on how big the audience you're going after. If you're going to big companies, that they don't even really look at anything. But like a little note, a little joke, a little something different in the messaging can at least make them open and hit you back. And then you have a conversation started.
But no, good point, Ari.
Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate you guys.
No, thank you for investing your time. Thank you, brother Ari. Thank you, Dave. What else we got?
We're gonna go to Fred Preston now.
Fred's another familiar name. What up?
Hey, how you doing?
I ain't making no noise. What's good with you, boy?
Man, appreciate you for doing this.
No, always, man. It's my responsibility.
Okay, so like as I told you, I'm opening a sneaker boutique out here in OKC, and I got two questions for you. So the first one is, like, with this pandemic going on, and there's no trade shows, no events. Like, how do I get in contact with sales reps? And then the second question is, like, for the sales reps that I have been able to get in contact with, like when they ask me for a presentation, what does that mean?
All right, so I'm gonna give you some of my personal time, because this is easy for us to handle. Ari and Hutch is usually the partners I would go to for some of this too. So on the sales rep side, I'm gonna be putting you in touch with Ari anyway. Ari's on the call. Ari's already on the call. And then how to build the deck is a tricky one, right? Because now if you can't present yourself, you've always needed to be able to present yourself digitally, but now it's even more important. So I will send you my email address right now. And then no, I'm gonna do one better. I'm gonna just send you my cell. I just sent you my cell. Text me. I'll volunteer me and Ari, and then I'll pull somebody on my team. We can look at your first round of a deck and just help you round some thinking out.
And Fred, like real quick, James actually had me talk to someone via Nike last week. That was a little different. Was taking a different store that he purchased from the previous owner and transitioning it into a more modern sneaker association. And I think what's really important on the rep side or on the brand side, depending on on the level you're going for, is having a real understanding of the space and like what you want to do. You know, a lot of guys, they're starting like, oh, I want to do streetwear and I want to get this and I get that. And the brand matrix and the things they put together to the person on the other side of the screen doesn't really make as much sense, you know, doesn't really sound as fluid. And that was a lot of the conversation I had last week, like helping him kind of do a little more research, get a little better understanding of what he's going after and why, and like why that's different than the other guys and why it's a need for the people on the other side of the screen. And it's just the thing I'm just going to tell you, regardless, obviously we're going to talk and I'll share some decks that are sent to us so you have an idea what the other guys look like. You got to be very patient, man. You're going to hear a shit ton of no's. Nobody wants to be first, even though it's OKC and you probably have very little competition out there. You just got to be patient. You got to have your backups and find the things that are going to fill the shelves and put cash in the register while you wait for the things you really want, because your only focus and your only responsibility is to stay in business. So you have your wish lists and then you have your things you got to do. But the research, the really understanding what you're going after and just having a lot of patience, you know, is the best advice. But we'll talk later.
No, and well said, Ari. I couldn't have said that one better myself. This is definitely boutiquing is a long game. Like even people who have really good relationships with
James, what you've done, what you guys have done the last 5 years between you and Kev and Brendan and the team, you're still working towards goals that you've started with no's 4 years ago. And he's James Whitner in the New York Times, and he's still working towards certain opportunities, you know?
People tell us no all the time. And I'll reiterate, it's how do we get to yes? And how do we develop a conversation so I can understand the strategic goals of the person or company that I'm trying to align with, and how do I get them to understand ours so we can end up in a place where yes is magical for both of us, right? And even if one side is taking a bit of a risk, at some point in the near future, it doesn't feel like one. It feels like magic, and you got to understand. You have to be able to have vision for what you're building, and without vision, a person without vision needs to buy into someone else's vision.
Needs to work for somebody else.
Go work. If you can't wake up and see the world in a completely different way on your own, you should buy into somebody else's vision until you have that muscle.
Got it.
Hey, I got a peace out. Thank y'all for all coming here. James, thank y'all for having this. Blah, 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 all that good stuff. Love y'all.
Peace, pal.
All right, Phil.
Love you back, brother. What else we got? What else you got, Dave?
Going to Francis Rutledge next.
Francois. What's up?
What's good? What's popping? Appreciate y'all setting this up once again. My question is more so on the content side, similar to what the gentleman was asking before, but a little different. Like I'm recognizing like a lot of stuff on Roku and all these like streaming platforms, but nothing really kind of centered around like the niche of streetwear and sneakers combined. Do you guys think that there is not only a need for like a network? Do you think that brands like Roku or Apple TV would be receptive for, you know, programming or shows centered around that?
Yeah, I think so. I think what we're watching with, I think there's no shortage of sneaker and
I was about to say there's a ton of programs out there.
There's a ton of content, right? I think what you're recognizing now is the opportunity to scale to a bigger audience, right? Because what's in our small niche culture doesn't exist on Apple TV the way the way HBO took a risk on Made in America, and that was probably the worst mistake they ever made, ending that after X amount of seasons. Season when us that was living that.
It was James, it was also 10 years ago, and think about the audience of sneaker culture now versus when they did that show.
Yeah, right. So my point is, I think your question is, I got homies who's pitching Netflix, and pitching shows at Netflix, but I know the first thing they do, and when I think about that, she might even kill me if I say her name, so I won't. But they're very, very, very held in very high fucking regards. Like if I stay, like some of the people are like, just like, oh shit, big. Like, yeah, if they want a Netflix series, why wouldn't they get it, right? Or if they wanted to work with Apple, why wouldn't they get it? And to Ari's earlier point when we was giving Fred advice, those big platforms just move different. So I can't give you advice on something I've never done. I can probably think through getting that Apple or getting that Netflix, but it's something that's not been in my wheelhouse of things to do. But to answer your first question, I do think there's no shortage of content. It's just how to get it to those big platforms and how to get them to accept.
And I'll say this: if Target and Walmart are talking streetwear, which they are, these guys have shows in development right now. Like now, there are Apple shows and Netflix shows and celebrity-backed sneak. I mean, like I know of two friends that are involved in doing it, and one
I know there's a competition show down the pipeline for both like the BBC in London, and then I think Offset has one coming in the States.
Yeah, for like the next designer type vibe. Yeah. No, I'm talking about cultural shows about the history of the connectivity
like
to sneakers.
Anthony Bourdain kind of thing with sneakers and streetwear, like Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, so when you start talking about like that like BBC, BBC is a different level of like credibility and programming to me, at least, right? Like when I go to news, I go to BBC, I go to NPR, because they have this ability to stay objective. So when you see them start to develop like something, when you start talking about taste, right? I think when you look at taste objectively, I think BBC does a good job of looking at things objectively. So taste actually means something, right? So they're a credible source for information. And I think I could have a subjective conversation, but I got with you about this, and I would love to if we had more time. But like, next time, jump back in and I'll try to have somebody on the panel that can discuss this a little more, or I'll hit one of my homies who have had success with Apple or Netflix to create a series, and maybe we'll do a free game session on it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think the content piece is something that needs to be spoken about. So I definitely would like to see that for sure.
No, I appreciate your time too, bro.
Appreciate y'all.
All right. What we got, Dave?
Keep rolling down the line. Mercedes.
What up, Mercedes?
Good afternoon, good evening. Depending on where you were located. How are you?
Oh, I ain't making no noise at all.
I'm doing well. I own a clothing brand called Civil Studios currently.
Say that again.
I own a clothing brand called Civil Studios.
Civil Studios. Okay.
Yes. We're actually held in Lapstone and Hammer in Philadelphia. That was one of our first accounts. My question to you guys, as a cut and sew clothing brand, would it be the best way to, one, market your product to a buying team or stylist to, try to see growth in your brand in this COVID environment that we're in currently?
I'm gonna get the same answer I gave before. First, you gotta have vision for what you're building. When somebody comes to me with a new collection, right? If I know them, then I probably know their energy. I'm looking at DDA on the screen, so I'm gonna pick on Mike and Mary, right? When Mike dropped Mike and Mary, none of us was guessing. Like there wasn't a moment where I looked and was like, this shit might not work, right? That never was a thought in my mind. Because
Trey Hayes was a battery in your back, though. Don't forget that.
No, but why is because we sat in that Buscemi booth for hours when he was doing bags, and I got a chance to hear his philosophy on bags, and I got a chance to understand like how he tinkered, and bigger than that, he got a chance to understand my philosophy on why I bought, right? And it was like, yo, the beautiful part about buying, and somebody can find Mike and ask in this conversation now. And I said to him, when I buy certain brands, I feel like I'm buying money, like it's a 1-for-1 sale. When a product is so right that it's going to connect to the consumer, the distribution is placed in the best places in the world, and it's curated and placed with literal thought on who that person's serving in the world and why. And when you take that thought process through digital and you start thinking about every part of your business with that level of intention, you're going to find success. That's fucking vision. So bigger than anything that Mike ever showed me he was going to sell, I knew I was getting that, right? And after that, when he showed me some shit that was fire, I quickly realized like, yeah, this is about to be good. And it's not been good. It's been fucking incredible. And I could say the same thing about Ari in the Foundation Boys. There's been things that we've had successes with, and there's been things that's been utter fucking failures. But we're able to have a conversation with each other to understand why. Or you want to jump in on what makes it successful or not?
I would say it's twofold. Like James is right? Like product for product, you don't get a lot out of it unless you hit a fad or, knock off a Moto Gene when Balmain's pistol hot, the high-end guys, the Rudes, even higher, the Amiris of the world. I mean, those guys are artists, they got vision, they're artists, they're creating their worlds. I'm on your IG page right now. That's why I asked for the name. COVID or not COVID, having a voice, being about something and like connecting with the audience you're after and having a level of authenticity is like the only thing that matters and the only thing that's going to garner consumer or celebrity. There is no faking that. Clothes can be banging, but if there's no relationship, if there's no, especially in these times, if there's nothing, there's no cultural connectivity, it just doesn't matter. On the straight layman terms of getting in touch with stylists and presenting to people while we're in this COVID world, the world is flat, man. We all got cell phones. Every stylist worth their salt, excluding maybe, LeBron's guy or this one or that one, you can find. They're all out there. It's all published. It's all public. They find things via DM and people reaching out and all the simpleton ways you think that they're above, they're not. They DM brands too. We've gotten, I'm sure as a retailer, James gets it when guys are in town, like, yo. So James is absolutely right. You need care and consideration and a voice and a reason for being, or you will never have long-term success. However, in the interim, just do the dirty work. Get on the internet, get on IG. Half these guys tag their stylists, shout them out on the red carpet. You can get it, all of them. Migo stylist, public information. It's just go after it. Post Malone, public information. Like, depending on who you want, that's the good thing about the digital space. You can start to communicate with that. I can't tell you how many guys that I've just reached out to blind. Like, hey, I want to get, I want to reach out. It's not even about a brand. We just start having a conversation, and then the conversations lead to, yo, I'd love to get you guys in here. But we do it still. I'm 20 years in and I go after, if I don't know someone, I figure them out and I'm in the DMs just like anyone else.
And I'll come on top of that and then pivot real quick.
Got to do the work.
The beautiful part about that is when you do the work and you come, right? Usually you don't have to. When something's dope, if I'm talking to Chris from Union and passing, he'll be like, yo, such and such, hit him. That shit's dope. Or check out such and such. Like, dope people, there ain't no real competition. We all kind of look out for each other.
And that's every level, James, right? That goes true for Manier, APB, social status, right? Like, if there's a new t-shirt brand, someone's telling you your guys know.
Yes, and what you got to do as a visionary, you got to know when to say no. You have to have a vision for what each marketplace looks like. You have to curate the global market for your brand and understand the consumer base. Listen, for me as a creative or whatever the hell you want to call me, creative entrepreneur, you start trying to curate space, and I'm just trying to curate the world as I see it. This shit ain't got shit to do with clothes, and this is a whole world, right?
And there's cheat codes out the wazoo, man. When you're starting and you don't know things, like when I had my first luxury brand and I came from the city specialty kind of urban space, I didn't know shit. I didn't know one retailer. I didn't know I just looked at the brands that felt adjacent to the brand I had and started pillaging their lists and visiting those stores and seeing if it was a fit for me.
Okay.
And if it was, then I would try to make something happen. And if it wasn't, I would check it off. So there's cheat codes everywhere.
But Ari, that's not a cheat code. That's doing the work though, bro.
Yeah, that's doing it.
What you're saying is you traveled if you didn't know what retail looked like, you said, fuck it, I'm gonna look at all retail. And I'm gonna trust my eyes to tell me what's good or bad.
Even now, Mercedes, even with some of our more commercial brands that are big and in a lot of spaces, we don't open one store without being in it. Ever. So you just got to do the work, man. COVID or not COVID, your car works, you got a gas tank, you know?
Does that all make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Yes. Thank you. Is it okay if I ask you one more question just quickly?
Go for it.
So pretty much as this brand, our vision is to amplify the disenfranchised community. So we're aligning ourselves and growing partnerships with the ACLU. I live in Delaware, so the Delaware Center for Justice as well, just trying to give back in the community. But how do you think is the best way to communicate to our audience that we are a brand of high quality and we care about the cost per wear and things like that in our garments, but we're also trying to support a disenfranchised community?
Do you follow Kids of Immigrants?
I'm sorry?
Do you follow Kids of Immigrants?
No.
It's a brand.
Okay.
Follow them. Do you follow, who are the guys that got the LV money, James? Mad Happy? Do you follow Mad Happy?
We just talked about Mad Happy today on our internal buying chat. My short answer, Ari's giving you examples. I was going to say it to you more simple. Yo, the only way to be a great person is be a great person. It's so fucking simple, and there's really no shortcuts to it, right? Like if you want to love your woman and make her feel loved, figure out what love feel, figure out what are the things that she loves, and do those things, right? Like, because there are no shortcuts, right? The market responds to some things faster than others, but outside, you really can't. To Ari's point, yeah, you can tinker with style and trends of the moment, but if you really want to be your authentic self, the only thing you can do is be your authentic self.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for investing the time, bro.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, Dave.
Going on a Dre Cherry.
Dre, what up, boy?
What's up, Jay, man? How you been, bro?
Man, it's been a long time since I heard your voice, bro. How are you?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. I can't complain, man. Like has already been echoed, I definitely appreciate you guys taking out the time to answer some of these questions and allow us to move forward with our visions. One question I had is for you and your team. I've been, as an engineer, I've been in the digital space for a little bit, and I'm seeing the whole blockchain cryptocurrency space grow. I wanted to know, as an organization that is, basically we're seeing all these industries go digital. What is it that you all are focused on, or what pathway forward do you all have on your brand and on, your brand as a whole, as we begin to grow into this leveraging the blockchain technology, leveraging virtual reality and augmented reality, right? Like we saw how Travis Scott did his drop within, what was that, like the animal? I forget what game it was, but knowing that you have such
Fortnite.
Knowing that you said Fortnite. Go ahead, Dre.
Yeah, Fortnite and all that, right? Knowing that we have individuals who are becoming more creative in how they, I guess, communicate themselves through their avatars and through their digital space. What are you guys and your team beginning to do and to leverage your culture and what you have, your influence, to kind of protect or carve out your spot in that space?
You know what, Dre? And here's honesty, right? I understand how blockchain is affecting the world right now, right? But I have to look at our space and ask ourselves, that's probably a better question for LVMH, because on the top side, they have so much capital that I could afford to watch them take a swing at it and hit or not hit, because on our team, nobody on our team has the skill set to be able to execute cost effectively or either at a cost effective or time effective. Sorry for the couldn't find a better word, right?
No, I understand
So-
what you're saying in the sense like the second mouse gets the cheese. Let them spend the money up, figure out how to figure it out. And once those things are kind of laid, you can move
It's
forward.
also it's also very early, right?
Or hold on, or let me say one thing and then I'm gonna let you go. We just don't have that strength on our team, and it's not a strength that we're prioritizing right now. Our strengths right now is key markets, community, experiences to connect back to our culture, in connection between digital and physical experience. Blockchain is important, probably a couple steps down, right? But if we hit our next year and a half or 2 years out the park, as we're halfway into that, and we're on pace to hit that out the park. As the leader of the organization, I could look at our team and say, okay, do we need to either A, get capital to figure out blockchain, or B, figure out who we can partner with who's good at it, right? Or C, bring in a team that can help us build it, right? Because when you're small, you can't do everything because there's a cost to doing everything, right? It's a cost in people time and it's a cost in actual capital. So the North Star thinking makes sense when you're thinking like, yeah, blockchain's the future. There's a cost to failure, right? And we can't afford the cost for failure because we don't have an infinite amount of capital. But LVMH got a couple hundred more billion than us, right? So they could go in that space and tinker around a little bit. And I could be like, oh shit. Somebody be like, yo, you see what LVMH did? I'd be like, what'd they do? You know what I'm saying? And then back into it that way and start trying to understand it. Does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense. And I would say I'll make sure to reach out to you because, like I said, I've spent a few years in it now, and I do have the capacity, but I don't necessarily have a brand to build on with it. Meaning, like, me.
Oh no, Dre, I hear you loud and clear. Call me.
All good.
And I think you have hit me, and we went back and forth on DM. Maybe hit me. Just hit my cell. You still got my cell?
Shoot, if you can't, shoot it to me directly, just in case, just so I can make sure.
But
I completely understand what you're saying. I completely understand where your focus lies right now as a brand. But like you said, as you begin to move into a different direction, man, I would love to, tap back in with y'all because, with the whole NFTs and all that stuff, I think that those are great tools in which to better communicate, or those are great tools to leverage to further communicate the brand in the digital space. Like how the threes you just dropped and how there could have been a non-fungible token that partnered with that physical asset that could have been a digital aspect to it as well. So
man, listen, Dre, I'm over here slobbering in my mouth a little bit, bro. I hear you loud and clear. I just sent you my cell number.
All good.
All right, bro. I appreciate you.
Yep, appreciate you.
All right. What we got, brother Day?
Next up, we got Medi. At least that's what the name says.
Medi, I know Mad in Charlotte. What up, Medi?
What's happening, my brother?
I ain't making no noise.
All right, good, man. I'm glad. Yo, first of all, thank you for what you're doing. I think this is big, man. Definitely encourage more of the homies that's got good businesses going on to do the same thing. So I've been tuned in. I just wanted you to touch on some about really about paying business taxes, man, about paying taxes and like handling like city licenses and city permits, and just about like how you feel about handling contracts and paperwork, or do you have somebody in your organization that you
listen, I'd be the first person to tell you. You want to know one of the best hires I've. Shout out to Joe Hutchinson on our team for handling all admin and that whole part of our business, because like, yo, paperwork and taxes and small tax is a beast, and you don't realize this tax you owe, and then they come in and tell you owe property tax. You're like, what's property tax? You got to pay taxes for them fixtures that you sell clothes on every, like, so no. So when I was small, it used to drive me insane, yo. And I used to just get all the mail, file it myself, and then take 2 hours every day to figure it out. And it was the most painstaking 2 hours of my week every week. And some people, that's their thing, right? They can get through mail, they can get through it. They do it with enthusiasm. Man, once again, for us, there's a part of our team. And if you're small, don't sleep the tax man or the tax woman, because they will shut you the fuck down. And they will affect you in ways you'll go to, if you know what a UCC search is or some of Nexus Plexus reports, somebody will pull a report on you and there'll be more shit on you than what you ever thought could be on you because of 15 taxes that you didn't know you needed to pay, and they don't care that you didn't know you needed to pay them. You still owe. So it's very important to understand what all the tax obligations there are for any business that you decide to be a part of. And Ahmedi, I think to answer your question more directly, bro, there ain't no easy answer except for understand them, organize them, pay them, and ask for assessments to make sure you're not overpaying. And also seek out counsel and help. Early on, I had not early on, for the first all but the last 2-3 years, I just changed accountants. Mr. Nelson was my guardian angel. Mr. Nelson is a tax accountant in Charlotte, but he helped me navigate understanding who we needed to pay and why, how much we needed to pay, who was taking advantage of us. And he helped me understand the importance of keeping all of those things organized. So to Mehdi's point, you got to keep a good team around you, a good attorney, a good accountant. Those things, those two people, if they're the right people and they're really vested in your success, they can help guide you to make sure you stay out of harm's way, at least with the tax man or tax woman.
No, good lawyer, good accountant, probably like two best functions to like having a business. Lawyer, yes. Accountant that you
and
can
not
trust,
just good for you. Good for you. Like there's
Yeah.
lawyers that's great for big business. There's lawyers that are great for small business. There's lawyers who only want to deal with startup businesses. Don't go find the best lawyer for LV. Oh, this lawyer works for Louis Vuitton. That means they're too expensive for you and they ain't got time for you. You need to go find a lawyer that's good for startup business, small business.
And what James taught us, because we actually now use the same accountant, is you also want these guys to have the same vision you got. They're not all suits, you know, that these guys can be entrepreneurs too. They can be savvy too. They can understand growth and paying less taxes and all that also. So you really got to find guys whose vision for your business aligns with your vision.
Shout out to Adam Boatman.
I'm the know-it-all.
Yeah, no. And notice one word keeps being used today. Vision is very important, and having aligned visions, your partners, everybody that's around you, like there has to be a shared vision, and the people who you connect with, you want them to buy into yours as much as you buy into theirs.
Absolutely.
I hope that answers your question, Mehdi.
Yeah, Mr. Nelson, he's still in Charlotte, man. I'm gonna need that contact, G.
Yes. I'm gonna send you Mr. Nelson's contact right now, Mehdi. Tell him I recommend you and tell him I said hello, Mr. Nelson. Good brother, man. You'll love him. I'm sending it to you right now.
Man. Appreciate you.
All right.
All right, quick time check, Jay. You got 15. So
Okay.
we'll probably try and get like 2 more. Stephen Tucker's up next.
Stephen, what up?
How you doing? Whitner Group? How y'all feeling? My name is Stephen Tucker, straight from the city of Chicago. I'm my own content creation called Q&K, which focuses on self-help and also with a streetwear aspect as well, making my own clothing brand as well, website, Instagram, and YouTube. I have 2 questions, gonna keep them quick. For you and your group, how do you guys find the balance between collaboration and then competition within peers in your own space?
Ain't no such thing as competition.
Bingo.
That's that mirror. I love that mirror because I look in that mirror and I see me. There's other people who's doing the best version of them. Shout out to Ronnie. He's the best Ronnie he could be. Shout out to Supreme. James Jebby is the best Supreme they could be. The only thing we could do is be the best version of ourselves and understand what our Achilles heel is for the vision that we have for our business. Does that make sense? Yes, there are people who benchmark excellence, right? There are people who do great things in their part of the business, right? And somebody else's business may be very similar to your business. McDonald's, Burger King, those things are very similar, right? but there are some there's some key differentiators in their business, right? And one doesn't need to be the other, right? Even though they both selling burgers and fries, right? So it goes back to the mirror that we talked about earlier, being a visionary and understanding what excellence looks like for each part of your business and each part of your life. Does that make sense? There was a second part of your question. What was it?
And the second part of my question is also for you, what advice can you give to someone trying to find mentorship within the activewear fashion business, but also as a business owner itself? Because being in the city, I know you got Corey Gilkey leaders, you got Fashion Geek Squad, you got Fat Tiger Workshop, all the legends come from Chicago. But I think the problem for me is trying to I know I don't know everything. I'm still young in these streets. I'm still learning my own brand in itself. What way can I find mentorship within those people, or even anybody within?
Man, go holler at all them dudes. Listen. I pulled up on Corey. I talked to him earlier this week, and this is why I love Corey. He ain't called me. Corey ain't hit me with no shoe. Corey hit me out of the clear blue just to give me energy. King, this Corey, yo, Jay King, I'm just giving you energy, right? Them dudes, Corey's all about the love, yo. Them dudes, Corey, Diego, I don't know how it's set up now, but how it used to be. Corey's what leaders was in the beginning is why we do community today. You could walk in there and it was just a hub of fucking energy and positive energy and Black folk that was showing each other crazy amounts of love. So it's hard for me. I still talk to Joe and all those dudes. So it's hard for me to believe that don't exist in Chicago. This platform exists here for it. We'll always be here 24/7, 365. I answer all DMs, even if sometimes to say, if we get in too deep of a conversation, I'm either point you to a direct answer or point you back here to get more context or understand what you trying to talk about. And then if you hit me back there, we'll hit there until we get back there. So I'm on my DM as much as I possibly can. And if you need help touching any of them boys in Chicago, once we get an understanding of what you're trying to build and why, I'll put you in touch, or I can help you myself if it's something that I got the answer to.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Those dudes are the embodiment of youth Chicago and kids walking in and getting game. Diego's been there 30 years. Corey has put on half that city. So they are,
and hell, half our industry.
They are so
leaders
he is ridiculously approachable, approachable, ridiculously helpful, and is all about helping other people that look like him become successful.
And he'll call one of us out. Yo, James, I got a young homie I need you to talk to. He's doing all that, yo. And when he call, we answer. At least I do.
Yes. Okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all so much for giving this to me, man. Energy's real, but much love to y'all.
Energy's everything, bro. Stay optimistic. Keep your head up. Stay safe where you at, and keep coming back, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
All right. Love, bro. What we got, Dave?
Alex coming up next.
Hey guys, real quick question. There was a question in the chat that I thought was pretty interesting. So they asked about just the finance management background that you guys had and just switching over to the retail space. I was curious to know just kind of some of that backstory.
I'm only
sounds
laughing.
like you guys liked it. I mean,
no, when you say finance management, I came from the corner, right? So the finance management is, the finance management, right? So for me, I laugh because that was the first thought, right? The number one rule that I think all of us was taught: pay what you owe. And if you can't pay what you owe, pick up the phone and say, when you can pay, how you going to be able to pay, when and why, if that makes sense, right? If I'm gonna pick on DDA and Ari, because DDA for whatever reason is in the middle of my screen. If I get an order from them and something's uncharacteristically wrong, and I call him and say, hey, I can't pay for this, because he may even say, was there something wrong with XY item? I'll probably be like, yeah. Like, well, why didn't you say something earlier in the delivery? We meant to call you. Just send it back. We'll take care of it for you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like some of payment management handles itself. It gets more difficult when you start talking about CFOing, raising capital, needing growth capital. Ari made a comment earlier today when he had an opportunity where they took on a partner's capital and lost a large percentage of that opportunity. And if they would have kept that, it would make a whole lot more money today. I think CFOing is different than just managing capital in a retail space. Managing capital in a retail space is just understanding your cash flow. Once you've been in business long enough, you're able to project how much business you got coming in. So regardless of how good something is, you can't buy yourself out of business, right?
I was saying for clarity, Alex, was that, I might have misread the question or might have misunderstood the question. Is it like, I thought the person was asking, they have a background in finance and they wanted to move into the fashion industry.
Yeah.
How do they get adjacent opportunities to the fashion industry with their finance background?
Yeah, exactly.
Shit. Oh, okay, because I was over here.
So I'll tell you what every good business needs. Every good business needs a numbers guy, right? Every business, once it hits a certain point of scale or size, needs someone that can manage the cash flow, manage the P&L, know who to pay when based on what they believe will come in when. And I would say we all hire for those spaces outside of fashion. Like my CFO, he was at Robert Graham and he was a G-Star, but some years ago, somewhere he worked at a bank.
Yep.
Or he was a CPA or something like that. So those skill sets of those ancillary functions of, my trademark attorney who solely does fashion now, she didn't start that way. So we all, there's a lot of young people that love this business, but end up in finance or legal or engineering or what have you. And all those skill sets are needed and applicable inside of these businesses.
Yeah.
And all of us would rather, like, if you look at my team of CFOs and assistant controllers and HR, they look like they're from the space. They're fans or members of the community that had other jobs and just backed into it. I think if you're good in finance, it's just about finding the right opportunity, and that skill set is applicable in fashion. I mean, one of my closest friends in California was a Wall Street guy. Now he's the CFO of Lionsgate. He didn't know shit about film. He just knew numbers. Well, film companies need numbers too.
No,
I was gonna say
so very good answer.
Skill set that's applicable across industry.
No, the only thing I would add on to Alex, I got one goal in life. You want to know what it is?
What is it?
Never end up on the episode of American Greed.
For real.
Nah, I was gonna say, I think that's one of the most one of the dopest parts about having like a hard skill set like that, is that like you can like just apply for those jobs. It's like one of the least subjective portions of the industry, right? So if you got the background to Ari's, if you got the experience and you got the background, you could literally just like apply to X brand. Like every brand that you can think of or any large company is hiring financial analysts, and being able to start at one place and, to Ari's point, be able to then gain industry contacts to be able to move into, maybe you want to get specifically into being in boutique, but being able to start somewhere else in the space is just getting you more adjacent to just change. But the skill set.
In the last 90 days, we hired an assistant controller and a demand planner.
Boom.
Right? The assistant controller is a straight finance guy. He did come from the music space, but prior to that, he was at a consulting company. And our demand planner has a finance background and worked at like Tommy Hilfiger or something super, super corporate.
No, and I'll throw it out there right now. I've been CFO in our business forever. And we now need to hire a controller. If Boatsman has it his way, we'd have a controller and an assistant controller like tomorrow.
Well, he needs a controller and an assistant controller. So Boatsman's right.
I'm going to digress. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex, did we answer your question?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get
Yeah,
one
that's-
more in.
That's awesome.
Alex,
Thank
just
you so
start
much.
looking on the block, like start looking on the job boards at like.
Hold on, Alex. Where are you? Where do you live?
So I'm in New Jersey. I'm in New Jersey. I'm on the East Coast.
If you was in Charlotte, the recruitment was about to start. Thanks, bro.
So yeah, so I guess the reason why I asked that question, why it really stood out to me, was because I actually graduated from college with a finance degree, and then I'm actually a merchandiser and buyer in a corporate company. So I just was kind of more so curious, like, assuming that you guys kind of had that experience, like how was that transition going into retail? But I appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
No, 100%. And listen, it's exactly what you think it's going to be. Instead of working with snobby ass people, you get to work with cool ass people, or at least we're cool in our ass.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, let's get one last good one. And everybody, if there's still a lot of questions in the queue, I'll commit to mentoring sessions an hour a week if I got to, until we have no questions. Because the goal is to get the information out there. We do free game on specific topics monthly, but I don't want there to be pinned up questions that need answers. So just keep hitting us as we get questions, and as we get hit for tons of like advice, we tend to just throw these mentoring sessions up just to make sure we create a platform for people, a safe space for people to come through to be able to get their questions answered.
For sure. Last one's gonna be Jerry.
Jared, what you got? Is it Jerry or Jerry?
How y'all doing?
Jerry.
Oh, what's up, Jerry?
Hey man, how y'all doing?
I ain't making no noise.
Sorry, it's a lot of noise going on, man. But I just wanted to first of all, just give you your flowers. You know, I appreciate you holding this space for people like us. You know, everyone's trying to, everyone has the same goal, trying to get there. So I appreciate that. I actually shot you a DM to your personal account like a week ago, so I probably sent it to the wrong account. But
no. James.Whitner is my only account. I gotta admit, I haven't been able to get into like the what's it called, the people that I may not follow. There's a whole bunch of those messages.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm still getting through messages. I try to get through them as much as I can. The week has been a bit busy, but I promise by Sunday it won't get caught up.
Okay, no problem. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And to me, I have a fashion brand. I'm located in Brooklyn, New York. The fashion brand is called Black Bourgeois. And thing is that I started out as cut and sew, and then I kind of like got sucked into the whole space of like doing like the tees and the sweatshirts and the hoodies and like more like graphic design stuff. And what I want to do is kind of get back to that. So I'm at a point where I want to kind of make that pivot in the business and the brand and kind of get back to what I originally set out to do. So I want to know, like, during your journey, was there a time where you kind of had to make like a pivot as far as like the business direction, and like how was that for you? And the other part I wanted to ask was that I had a brother that's in my neighborhood actually, and he's doing a clothing brand. And I found out by happenstance because he hit me up, told me he was working on some stuff, and I was like, "What?" And he told me the brand. So then he wanted to bring me on, kind of like to help him build his brand out. And I'm all for collaboration. I definitely want to help the brother, but do you think that's a wise choice, or should I kind of just focus on my thing, or do you think I should be able to kind of like multitask?
I'm gonna put Dave. I'm not gonna answer this one. I'm gonna give it to DDA and Ari. I'm gonna put DDA on the spot. DDA is a super good homie who's in our industry, and I'll let him disclose as much about him as he's willing to disclose. And everyone knows who Ari is, but these dudes have. I could tell you about having to pivot in business tons of times, but I think they could both speak to you more distinctively about pivoting around the idea of running actual brands. And that's something that we're starting to do now, but both of these brothers, they both have tons and tons of experience around it.
Okay, appreciate you.
Dave, can you unmute DDA? Or I guess I can.
I'm good. Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Hi guys, nice to meet you. I'm DDA. I'm Mike's right hand. I'm the EVP of Amiri. So talking about going into like, and another direction. Mike doesn't know that I attended this. I don't know if I can disclose anything, but I'm just gonna assume that it's okay, and I just want to support you guys. You know, I come from a very traditional luxury corporate background. I've spent my entire career at LVMH and Kering. And when Mike hit me up like 6 years ago, 6 years ago, I didn't even know about Amiri. So, you know, I took a huge risk joining Mike when it was a tiny startup with 10 people and no one had any luxury fashion background. I just needed a proper change, and you just have to trust your gut. You know, like one of my mentors that hired me when I was at Saint Laurent before, when I had to make the switch from LVMH to Kering, told me, hey, I wasn't sure if I could actually leave LVMH. It had plans for me, but my boss told me, listen, in life you just have to take risk, and it's really up to you. It's really up to you. Like, yes, there's a risk, but it's for you to gauge. It's for you to gauge if it's better for your own good, you know. And I'm not even talking about money. You know, if you feel that it's better for you, you have to be able to take the risk. And making the switch from the biggest luxury groups in the world to joining a startup and to work with someone that has a great vision and is genuinely just a nice person is honestly the best decision I've made in my life. So you have to be ready to make the switch, but you have to do it in a very strategic way too. You know, everything has to be calculated so you can mitigate the risk. Mercedes earlier asked about you know, how to build a deck and everything, and James was absolutely right. You need a vision, and Mike had and still has a very strong vision, but something that's super important is that you always need someone or some people to be able to execute the vision. There's always a Phil Jackson and a Michael Jordan, you know. There's nothing you can do on your own unless you're extremely talented, but like there's nothing you can do on your own. So you have to make sure that you cover, you know, Ari mentioned you know, legal and finance, and you know, you have to be able to cover everything. So you make sure that yes, you can pivot, but you do it in a very strategic way. You know, when I joined Amiri, like, when you don't have millions to spend on marketing, what do people see? People see what is the perception of the brand when you basically have nothing. They see what's on social media, and they see how you're represented in stores, right? So what we did was super simple. We're lucky enough to be based in LA, and we don't pay anybody to wear our stuff. And we just happen to have celebrities liking our stuff and wearing our stuff and promoting them. And then I just worked my ass off to make sure that we entered the best stores in the world. And I was like, okay, give me the Saint Laurent space at Barney's, because this is what we deserve. Someone has to give us a shot, because otherwise LVMH and Kering are just getting all the best spaces and everybody else is just collecting the crumbs, right? So someone has to bet on us. And this is how it went. And then you would go to Barney's Beverly Hills when it was still open, and you would be like, oh shit, this brand is sitting next to Gucci and Balenciaga, when most of the up and coming brands are in the streetwear or contemporary like areas. And this is how you build it. But like, again, when you I can go on forever, and sorry guys if I'm taking too long, but again, it has to be everything has to be calculated. You know, you cannot, of course, I receive tons of resumes, I receive tons of requests from stores, but am I gonna respond if it's full of like spelling mistakes? I mean, if it's only 2 lines, I don't even know where it's located. I don't even know where what the store looks like because they didn't send any pictures. I don't even know all the brands that they carry. I don't even know who's running the business and who's backing it. And most of all, you know, I have to know the people. So you know, you have to make sure that you're putting all the chances on your side. You know, it's just you have to be confident with what you do, and if you fail, that's actually also normal. You just have to stand up and try again. You know.
Well said, Didier.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Very, very well said. I just want to add, Didier said something very interesting, right? Like, you have to be willing to fail, and like, failure is not the worst thing. Like, you can expect to fail on a few businesses. I would guess that the Amiri you see today is not his first brand. Is not his first shot at doing something on his own. And as he went through his own things and working for other people and this level of discovery, he's now found immense success with taking all of the learnings and failures and successes from his previous life, put it all into this, in addition to surrounding himself by probably a much higher level group of people than he did in his previous gigs. And now he's at this level of success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He actually launched like 15 businesses before Amiri took off.
No, I was being facetious, but
he had many different lives, you know.
Yeah. And for you, when you're talking about changing from graphic to cut and sew, and should I go back and should I do this? That's your vision, man. No one can tell you the other. And like, we work with kids all the time that we buy into the individual. Forget the brand. I know we talked about this with James 3 weeks ago. We just bought into these kids and this brand, and I can guarantee you that in 2 years this brand will not exist. Guarantee you. But they will. And whether it's this brand, 10 brands from now, these kids are going to pop. They're going to be something because they're about something and they're role and they mean their audience. Then the second part, you were talking about collaboration too. Again, there's no right answer. The right answer is yours. Humbly, I believe brands need to stand on their own before they start attaching themselves to other brands to catch some win. And if both brands are brand new, does a collaboration benefit either one?
Good point. Good point. Thank you for that. Appreciate you guys.
No, I appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody for coming out. Dave, you wanna round us out and take us home?
Yeah, no, for sure. Shout out to everybody for coming out, man. Our next free game should be on the 27th of May, I believe. That is the 3rd or 4th Thursday. But obviously you can follow Be Social Please, follow at the social status, follow Manuel_USA, follow let.us.prosper, follow APB Store to get all the information, all those details. These recordings also are uploaded to YouTube should you want to revisit them or miss any resources that you might have missed. So thank you guys for coming out.
On the website.
Yep, and on our website. You can check it out on all the websites as well. All the links are in bios. We appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you.
All right, safe travels, James.
Thank you all.
All right.